After Adam's shift and 51 intelligence experts decided to pen a letter and tell the rest of the American people I was a Russian asset, things have kind of gone downhill from there. I had to enlist the support from Wilmington Police Department to kind of make sure nothing bad happened to me while I was at the shop, and after a couple weeks, it eventually got so bad that I had to close my business and flee the state.
And flee the state. John Paul Mac Isaac, the Delaware computer repairman, who was unfortunate enough to have experienced a visit from Hunter Biden with his filthy, stinking laptop. Saw they found it. There was cocaine on the, it was actually cocaine on the case that the thing was in. And the FBI, they found out about it. They came to visit John Paul Mac Isaac. That's 4 names. I'm just Chris Plant. That's 2 syllables. Chris, then Plant. Just 2. In this hour, I am going to get to my father, Jules Orteig, in an interview he did aboard his aircraft carrier in the Mediterranean theater of operations during World War II. D-Day +1. I'll play that in this hour. It's the last hour I have played, so I've got to play it in this hour. But the John Paul Mac Isaac, keep in mind, and he said he had to flee the state, and he did have to flee the state. He wrote a book eventually. He did, about his experiences, and they weren't positive experiences, but the good people, Miranda Devine at the New York Post, had a story August 11th of 2022. Hunter Biden laptop repairman John Paul Mac Isaac says FBI agent threatened him to hush up. We live in a very corrupt country. We live in a third world banana republic kind of country, and so far our economy is still a first world economy, but we are $34 trillion in debt, and that is obviously unsustainable. So they're going to Cloward and Piven style bankrupt capitalism and drive a stake through the heart of the United States of America. And the Communist Party convention is this weekend in Chicago. It starts today. Remarkable. So the computer repair shop owner who blew the whistle on Hunter Biden's infamous laptop claims in a new book that an FBI agent threatened him to stay silent. John Paul Mac Isaac said 2 federal agents came to his Mac shop in Wilmington, Delaware, where the trial is going on today, where Dr. Jill Biden, who's not a doctor, flew home from France to sit in the courtroom, and then and in a private, an Air Force, U.S. Air Force, probably a 757 airliner, just to get Jill back here. But, she likes spending time with agents, so pay no attention to that. John Paul Mac Isaac said 2 federal agents came to his shop in Wilmington, Delaware, December of 2019, and that's when the FBI, they already had the laptop back then, and they covered it up. And they threatened him, listen, to recoup the laptop following a subpoena. He details in his new book, American Injustice, My Battle to Expose the Truth. That's the title of John Paul Mac Isaac's book. The repairman who had volunteered to hand the laptop over to the feds 2 months earlier said the alleged threat came after he made a joke telling them, "Hey, lads," he called them lads, "I'll remember to change your names when I write the book." Agent Wilson kept walking, but Agent DeMeo paused, turned to face me. Paul Mac writes, and of the encounter, says, Isaac said the agent told him, "It is our experience that nothing ever happens to people that don't talk about these things." Right. Nothing ever happens to people that don't talk. Oh, Sig Heil, Mama Jamma. I'm not sure exactly what I would have said if it were me, but I might have used a word that I can't use on the radio. Maybe 2. The owner said he locked the door after the agents walked out, leaving him to digest the encounter. Was I being paranoid, or had what the agent just told me been a direct threat, or at best a thinly veiled one? He wrote in his book. Now, this whole thing is so crooked. It's just astonishing. At least it ought to be. In the United States of America, and our government is completely out of control. Our federal law enforcement and corrupt. The FBI has, really, it's not they have stains on it. The FBI is a stain at this point. And I know FBI people, we had our free speech forum the other night, Sunday night, and an career FBI man was there who was on our last sea cruise. Great guy, wonderful guy. There was another couple, and I don't want to say what he did because I would put a big arrow on him, but another career FBI person. And it's not like every FBI employee or every FBI agent is a bad guy, but the institution is now a stain on American institutions. The CIA under John Brennan, similarly corrupted and under Barack Obama, corrupted and stained. I guess the Frank Marshall Davis, the Communist Party mentor to a teenage Barack Obama, boy, his work really panned out for them, didn't it? Amazing, amazing stuff. Just extraordinary. Man, oh, Manischewitz. Manischewitz. All right, so many things to get to, I've got to say. Too many things to get to. You know how to do? Let's go. We've got this David Spunt. Let's just do a quick number 8. It's not very long. Soundbite number 8. This is David Spunt, Fox News, talking about Dr. Jill Biden, who's not a doctor, getting on an Air Force 757 to leave France to come back to sit in the courtroom to intimidate the jury with her Secret Service protective detail.
The First Lady's office only says that the First Lady is coming to Wilmington essentially for one day. I've asked for clarification to see if perhaps she could be called as a character witness. No guidance at all. We just know that she's going to be in Wilmington tomorrow. That's as far as her office would say. But it's notable that she's leaving France to come to Wilmington for a day. Then she's going back to France.
They don't have to tell you what they're doing. Don't you know who they are? Deutschland über alles. Joe Biden sat down with his friend David Muir, a fluffer at ABC News, who gave Joe Biden a tongue bath, and Joe Biden lied to him about pardoning Hunter Biden.
As we sit here in Normandy, your son Hunter is on trial.
Sounds
and I
loving.
know that you cannot speak about an ongoing federal prosecution.
So I'll ask you about it.
But let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
No, he won't accept the outcome, no matter what it is. And if his son is convicted, he will pardon him. But I think the fix is in with the jury in Wilmington, Delaware, which the Biden corrupt family, political family, owns. Quite remarkable. Joe Biden and David Muir. This was an embarrassing moment for everybody involved, in particular ABC fake news.
Your opponent, Donald Trump, he has said of your executive action, he's pretending to finally do something about the border. Biden's executive order is weak and pathetic.
Is he describing himself?
What?
Weak and pathetic? Come on. Look, everybody knows what's happened.
What? Now, wait, is he talking about himself? So that was the I'm rubber and you're glue. What you say bounces off me and sticks to you. That's what he should have said, and he then fell out of his chair. Amazing stuff. Man, and then David Muir accepted. You hear how gentle he sounds, like he's talking to a mentally ill person in a mental ward, and he's the doctor. No, stay calm. I don't want to have to hit you another tranquilizer dart. And here it is. And Joe Biden whips out the old dictator for a day thing.
Say what I think. Let him say what he thinks.
What?
The things he said are off the wall. I want to be a dictator on day one. He's about him. I'm about the country.
Are you ready for this debate?
Yes.
I want to be a dictator day one. Now, you recall, I've played the audio here before. It was a discussion, I think it was with Sean Hannity. And Sean Hannity was saying, the Democrats say you want to be a dictator. They say you become president again, like he wasn't the dictator last time, but this time he's going to be, because now everything's different or something. And the Democrats are saying he's going to be a dictator. So Sean Hannity asked him the question, are you going to be a dictator? And what did Trump say?
you would never abuse power as retribution against anybody.
Except for day one.
Except
Look,
for?
he's going crazy. Except for day one.
Meaning?
I want to close the border, and I want to drill.
That's
drill,
that's
drill.
that's not retribution.
We love this guy. He says, "You're not going to be a dictator, are you?" I said, "No. Other than day one."
Now, and obviously he's joking. There's an audience there. They laugh. Hannity is laughing. He's going to be a dictator to close the border. That'd be a good idea. Joe Biden's not doing that. And to drill, baby, drill, 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 drill. That's it. And Joe Biden is still saying to David Muir, who doesn't follow the news and isn't very bright, and he's a little dundy, and he's well, and he doesn't correct him because, and if you watch ABC News last night, you have that fallacy reinforced by Joe Biden and David Muir that Donald Trump said he's going to be a dictator. That's what it's all based on. Just a big lie. Now,
the things he said are off the wall. I want to be a dictator on day one.
Yeah, that's the lie. Make the lie so big that no one would dare not believe it. A lie told once remains a lie. A lie told 1,000 times becomes the truth. I'm quoting their boy Joseph Goebbels, as you know. Joe Biden being fluffed by David Muir. And listen to this, is completely berserk. He's an old friend of Vladimir Putin.
Does Vladimir Putin concern you?
I've known him for over 40 years.
Over 40.
He's concerned me for 40 years. He's not a decent man. He's a dictator, and he's struggling to make sure he holds this country together.
I actually looked up Vladimir Putin after we heard that soundbite yesterday. And in 1984, Vladimir Putin was in Moscow for training at the Yuri Andropov Red Banner Institute. And then as a KGB agent, he was moved to first New Zealand, and he was moved to East Germany. He was an undercover, deep cover KGB agent, and Joe Biden says he was palling around with him at the time. And David Muir, again, is there to give a tongue bath, not inform the public, to help the Democrat Party to be a fraud, a charlatan, and not a journalist. It's honestly quite extraordinary stuff. And then Joe Biden, I think he's bragging. Yesterday, he said he's going to give Volodymyr Zelensky another $225 million just to turn the lights back on in Kiev.
The idea that Russia, this juggernaut that is absolute nuclear weapons, this conventional juggernaut, you know how many troops they've lost so far? 350,000 dead or wounded without a single American troop being engaged.
Yeah, and so is that good? I mean, is that so? Joe Biden, the Democrats love big body counts. They're just amazing. And he's, the Ukrainians have decimated them. And he also gave authorization to Zelensky and Ukraine to cross the line into Russia and kill with American weapons. And it was the former Russian president and still close personal ally of Vladimir Putin. It was, what's his name? Not Mezvinsky, but the other one. And he's saying, hey, the U.S. is waging war, direct war against Medvedev, Dmitry Medvedev. The U.S. is waging direct war against Russia. So Joe Biden is getting us in deeper and deeper. He has no idea what he's doing. He's a maroon. He's wrong about everything, and including who said dog-faced pony soldier. Just an amazing maroon. He's our president. In the Old Testament, the term Valley of Slaughter refers to the location where children were sacrificed. And here we are again, thousands of years later. How do we stop the madness that the Democrats are driving the train on? Of course, Preborn. Preborn is the organization I'd like to recommend to you because Preborn is helping lead the charge in our nation, to put an end to this atrocity. Every day, Preborn's network of clinics helps rescue 200 unborn babies. Truly amazing. But by the time I'm done reading this message, 2 more unborn babies will have been sacrificed in the Valley of Slaughter. By sponsoring free ultrasounds for women with unplanned pregnancies, a baby's chance at a long, happy life could double. See, you want to help heal our land and save precious souls. Please give generously to Preborn. Now, $28 could be the difference between life and death. So join the fight by sponsoring 1 or 2 or 3 ultrasounds, maybe 200 ultrasounds if you can. The gift is tax deductible, of course. To donate, all you have to do is grab your cell phone. You dial pound 250, and when prompted, say the keyword baby. You dial pound 250, the keyword is baby, or visit preborn.com/plant on Al Gore's amazing internet. Again, that's pound 250, the keyword is baby, or visit preborn.com/plant. Preborn.com/plant. Yeah, these are, I got to tell you, I've been paying attention for a long time. The lies have never been this big, this ubiquitous, this shameless. But here we are. All right, whole lot still coming up, including Jules Orteig, D-Day +1, Mediterranean Theater of Operations. I got great stuff coming up, including D-Day +1. Right now, let's go to the phones. Let's go to Wayne, calling from Charleston, South Carolina. Wayne, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Chris, I've never called your show angry, but I'm angry today, and I'll give you a segue into why I'm angry.
All right.
As a Vietnam veteran, my son coming back from blah, 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 my father, blah, 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 Robert Kennedy, dad shot, 14 years old, Meadows getting ready to go to jail. There were people like you that landed on D-Day, and they filmed what happened. And every day this week, all I've heard on TV, how many people we killed in Gaza, how many schools we blew up. So I guess Joe Biden is going to apologize to the Germans for bombing their roads and shooting their soldiers. A guy from the Citadel massacred some people that in Eli, I can't remember it, in Vietnam. We persecuted him.
Yeah.
Are the Palestinians going to persecute their terrorists that kill hostages, American hostages, Israeli hostages? And every day on the news talks about the poor victims. I'm a little confused. I thought the guys landing on the beach were good guys.
Right.
And I'm sure Joe Biden's going to apologize for America bombing those people.
Well, I'll tell you what, Wayne, the lead story, we were just mocking this. The lead story in the Washington Post today is bomb in strike made in U.S. This is Gaza again. I've already explained this story. Now, I've talked about this, maybe not enough. Our news media is completely ignoring the war in Ukraine, where hundreds of thousands are dying, and they're focused in a laser-like way with their bizarrely anti-Semitic jihad against Israel from the river to the sea. The front page of the Washington Post today has a picture of Joe Biden trying to look presidential in Normandy. A nod to fights past, present. And it's him waging war against the American people who are on our side. If you're on our side, then the Democrat Party is against you. The upper left corner of the front page, blackouts in Kiev as grid takes hammering. That is a Washington Post helpful effort to justify Joe Biden giving another $225 million to Ukraine because Volodymyr Zelensky showed up in Normandy wearing a sweatshirt and jeans, of course. But the lead story today, the upper right-hand corner front page, A sectional of the Washington Post, bomb in strike made in U.S. Now, I told you this, I think 2 weeks ago, and I talked about that, and it's a 37-pound, it's a bomb with a 37-pound explosive. It's the smallest bomb that you can drop from an airplane, according to the Israeli military. And it is very precise, a precision munition made by us. And the Washington Post, that is to say the left, they're angry with the U.S., naturally, and with Israel. They're all Jew haters. They, remarkable stuff. Bomb in strike made in U.S. Well, aren't all the bombs that Israel drops made in the U.S.? Aren't we their number one provider of munitions, Isn't that entirely unsurprising and what anyone might expect if you have any idea what you're talking about? Experts identified device's nose cone. I did this more than a week ago. And I talked about the munition and 37 pounds of explosives, and Washington Post was lying about it. And IDF attack killed dozens at UN campus in Gaza. They've got a campus. It's a college for death cult. And they got 4 reporters typing it up, and that never works well. Israeli fighter jets appeared to have used a U.S.-made munition. We already knew this. In a strike that killed dozens of people. Now, I don't have time to update them again, nor do I have the interest. But here's what happened. The 2 jihadis who are blood-drenched baby killers, they were targeted by the Israeli military, and this very tiny munition hit them right on the dining room table. I mean, it's an incredibly precise munition, U.S. made. You're welcome. And here's the thing. The filthy, rotten jihadis were sitting on a stockpile of explosives. And the stockpile of explosive that they were sitting on, which they were planning to use to wipe out the Jewish people, it exploded and the neighborhood went up in flames. The tiny little munition that they used does not set the neighborhood on fire, right? It does sing a little song, though, about, I don't want to set the world on fire. That's while the bomb is falling, and then it hits, and boom. And if you're a jihadi and you're sitting on a stockpile of munitions, then it blows up and it kills the smelly, bearded ladies next to you and all that stuff. And, they blow up so soon, right? They got that. Now, with that said, my best girl provided me the other day with a fun video clip that I want to share with you. There is a British conservative author and commentator who goes by Douglas K. Murray. Douglas K. Murray. You might call him Douglas Murray. You might call him Dougie. But Douglas K. Murray. And he's a smart guy. He's a serious guy. And he started an organization called the Center for Social Cohesion because he'd like to see Western civilization stay together and not self-immolate like a Democrat outside the Israeli embassy or the Israeli consulate in Atlanta or the Trump trial in New York or the Supreme Court on Earth Day, because a lot of Democrats are self-immolating these days, which is fun. So here is Douglas K. Murray. He noticed something, and that is that and it's happening in New York and Washington, if posters of the innocent civilians taken hostage by a genocidal terror group called Hamas, if someone posts the pictures, and in Israel and in Europe, you see them, and people might have relatives that are being held hostage, and they're putting up the posters with pictures just to remind, they're hostages being held by Hamas, while the Democrats and the left in Europe are chanting from the river to the sea, which is a call to exterminate the state of Israel and everyone in it. It's a genocidal call, and the Democrats have jumped on board with that one. But here is Douglas K. Murray with an observation. Have you noticed that everybody's tearing down these flyers, these posters, with the faces of the people being held hostage by a radical Islamic death cult called Hamas?
Consider this. In every European capital, as well as in America, photographs of the Israeli hostages still in captivity by Hamas have been put up. And in every city outside of Israel, they have been torn down. Think about that for a moment. If someone in London or Paris loses their dog, they will put up a poster asking people to help find them. And if even one person in our society went around tearing down such a poster, we would ask what had happened in our society.
That is a fact check. And there are always, in my neighborhood at least, there are always posters of a lost dog, pretty much always, of a lost dog, sometimes a lost cat. And, I understand a family pet, obviously, and you put up a flyer. And it's true, nobody would tear them down. And if you did tear those down, you'd be considered to be an uncivilized lout, to be polite. And anyone walking by you would condemn you. And if a news stories made it out that somebody was tearing down posters of lost dogs and lost cats, it would be the end of civilization. But for Democrats and in Europe, lefties, the anti-Semitism has reached epic Socialist Workers' Party Nazi levels, where they love the from the river to the sea, and they blame the Jews for everything, and on and on. Amazing. All right, now, before I run completely out of time, there is something I said yesterday that I would get to, and I said earlier today that I would get to, and therefore I must make good and get to it. Now, this is an audio recording of my father, whose name was Jules Orteig. Jules Orteig, O-R-T-E-I-G, actually spells it in the recording. And my father, who died when I was 5 months old, so we didn't have a lot of time to bond. But my mother kept him alive. Now, my 3 older brothers, Jules Orteig married my mother, had my 3 older brothers, John Patrick, James Michael, and Daniel Barnes, and then me, Christopher Mark, it was Orteig at the time, of course, Christopher Mark Orteig, and I was Christopher Orteig, until I was 5 years old when my mother remarried Bill Plant, and he legally adopted me and my 3 older brothers, and we became Plants instead of Orteigs, but enough about me. Jules Orteig, and I like to play this from time to time because he is, I think, representative of and emblematic of the greatest generation, the World War II generation, and he speaks so well that and it's just a remarkable interview. Young Jules Orteig, who was 22 years old at the time, had just come back from a mission flying his fighter jet, a Hellcat, a Grumman Hellcat, and dropped a bomb on some Germans, some Nazis of the Socialist Workers' Party. And he came into the ready room, and there was some guy from Armed Forces radio, and it sounded like this.
This is D-Day +1. We're in the ready room of an American aircraft carrier cruising in the Mediterranean. The pilots who use this room have been on many missions over southern France during the past 2 days. And just a few minutes ago, a group of pilots returned from a fighter bombing mission. When the excitement died down a little bit, one of them came over and sat down beside me. And if you'd have been here, this is what you'd have heard.
Say, Lieutenant, have you got a cigarette?
Yeah, but as usual, I haven't got a match.
Oh, I have a match, thanks.
Do you mind giving me a light?
No, here.
Thank you very much. Boy, you look kind of wet.
I really sweat that one out.
Say, you mean that's all just sweat? It doesn't look like you've been dumped in the ocean or something.
No, well, I was a bit warm there for a minute. What kind of a gadget is that?
Oh, that's a recording machine that I have that puts voice on wire. Say, how'd you like to make a record for me to send back home?
Sure, but what'll I say?
Well, just talk, you know. I'll tell you what. I'll ask you questions, you give me the answers, right? For example, what kind of a plane were you flying on your mission today?
I was flying the Grumman F6F, the Hellcat.
F what?
The F6F, the Hellcat.
Oh, yeah, well, I never do know what those letters mean. That's a Grumman Hellcat, and a Hellcat it is, too, from the look of it. Say, how'd your mission turn out today?
Pretty good. We were supposed to bomb some gun installations on the coast, and we didn't have very much difficulty. 4 of us went out. I saw the first 3 bombs hit, and I don't know where mine went. But I hope it came close anyhow.
It's pretty difficult to see your own, but you can see the other men's, can't you?
Yeah, when you're... Well, there's a little flak there. I was kind of watching out for that.
Any of you get hit?
No one got hit, very luckily.
Was the flak very heavy? Well, it was the first flak I'd ever seen, so it looked pretty heavy to me. I know what you mean. Well, say, I beg your pardon. My name's Sutter. What's yours? My name's Jules Orteig, Orteig. What is that, French? Yes, after fashion. Oh, by the way, where do you live? I live in Pelham Manor. It's a suburb of New York City. Let's see, that's right near New Rochelle, isn't it? Yeah, have you ever been there? Yeah, I think so. I was there once. I think I drove through it. By the way, Jules, most of the boys have told me that they haven't seen any enemy planes over there. Did you see any? No, we didn't see any. We were looking around, but we couldn't find any. I think they're hiding. Well, so you've been on, let's see, you had 2 missions yesterday, isn't that right? Yes, that's right. Do you suppose you'll go on another one today? Well, I hope so. Well, anyway, I hope you'll find Jerry this time. But if you don't, well, I'll be just as happy. I don't know how you'll feel. Well, I'd just as soon run into a few Jerrys, but fighter bomber mission supplies plenty of excitement. All right, well, good hunting, Jules, and good luck. This record was made in the Mediterranean Theater of Operations.
I still call Germans Jerrys. Yeah, just for good measure. Seems appropriate somehow. Yeah, hopes to get another mission in today because, the day is young. D-Day +1. Fun stuff. I have the record album. It's a transcription. It's actually on a laminated cardboard record. I have it at home. Sent back to radio stations in New York City to be played. During World War II, when we knew who we were, before the Democrats sunk their teeth into us and became radical left. Yeah, and it's Orteig. What is that, French? After a fashion. It's Basque. Basque. They never said we're French. They said we're Basque. Which is a lot more fun, I've got to say, isn't it? From the Pyrenees Mountains. Some of them did make wine, though. God bless the United States of America and all of our World War II veterans on this D-Day +1. All right, so many crazy stories to get to. One of them is out of Connecticut, out of the once great state of Connecticut, where a police officer was killed by a person that should not have been on the loose. Also had a murder charge in Puerto Rico, came here, ran over a state trooper. Yesterday, there was a memorial service of sorts for the state trooper that was run over by the gentleman from Puerto Rico who has another murder in his past. And he was drunk and hammered on drugs or something and killed a police officer. Now, the Democrats had this event for him yesterday, but instead of just being normal and flying a thin blue line flag, right, they instead flew the gay pride flag, which is a rainbow flag. And we have these crazy people who were at the event, and one of them is a city council member, right? And this member of the city council speaking at the event.
You represent
I apologize. Here's one of the state representatives in Connecticut, and this which one is this? Amy Bello. Oh, this is Amy Bello.
Out of respect for the tragic death of State Trooper First Class Aaron Pelletier, we won't be raising the pride flag today. It's already up on the pole at half staff in honor of his passing.
In honor of his passing. Now, he's not gay. He's got a wife and he's got a couple of kids, but it's Gay Pride Month, and it's a police officer who was killed in the line of duty being crashed into at a high rate of speed by this person driving his car. And so proudly announcing we're going to, the Gay Pride flag is at half staff. That is their commemoration of the straight police officer who was killed by this miscreant. Honestly. And then a Republican, this is in Wethersfield, Connecticut, the town in Connecticut where he was killed. This is a councilman there, Rick Bailey.
What does the blue line flag mean to you?
In my home, it means police, and they protect us, and they're our first line of defense. They always are. They're always here. They're always for us.
Well, but that's not the way that the Democrats see it. Here is the Democrat. He's a Republican city councilman there. A woman who's a Democrat city councilwoman, Emily Zambrillo.
You represent racism and antagonism to many, many people. And even if you don't personally believe that and you fly it at your own house and you think it means something to you that's much more positive, it's just not how many people feel about it. It's not appropriate to raise over our town hall, especially when our flag policy prohibits us from doing anything associated with hate.
With hate, you see, not the killer of the policeman, but the thin blue line flag. So the Democrat-led city council in Connecticut, they refused to raise the thin blue line flag because it's a symbol of hate. And so they brought out the gay pride flag, and which is flying all month naturally because it's gay pride month, and flew that at half-staff because that's what Democrats do. They're mentally ill and anti-police and pro-criminal and pro-murder of police officers. The mayor there is a person named Ken Lesser.
We did propose an alternative flag last night, which was the first responders flag. The first responders flag recognizes all the first responders, police, fire, emergency management. The blue line flag was designed for police officers, and it goes back, again, as I said, over 100 years. But now, again, it has been used by white supremacists, and many police groups have disavowed that flag.
That is not true, but you are a Lion Sacagawea and a Democrat, and he is Ken Lesser. He is the mayor of Wethersfield Town. He's the mayor of Wethersfield, Connecticut. And the thin blue line flag, that's too much.